said a word that is the holy grail of grocery stores.
Wegmans.
So not everyone knows what a Wegmans is. And to my fellow Southern brethren, we didn't know what a Wegmans was until within the last year. They just opened one up down here in Raleigh. But for those people that do not know Wegmans, Camry, explain what Wegmans is.
I didn't know you got one.
Yeah,
That's so exciting.
I know, we're coming up. Watch out.
So the Wegmans is literally the best grocery store there is. It has pre-cooked food, it has a pizza bar, it has a sub shop. There's just everything you could think of, it has. And I'm not sure if it has the best baked goods there are, and up here at least. I don't know about down there, but
the produce is great. Everything's great. It's just it's almost like what Starbucks has done to coffee. Like, you can get coffee anywhere, right? It's what Wegmans has done to the grocery store. You just want to go to Wegmans.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, we go to like Publix, or we'll go to whatever else is, I don't know, down south or wherever we are.
Harris Teeter's the big one, and Harris Teeters are nice. We do like a Harris Teeter down here.
I've never been in that.
We also got Food Line. We got Kroger's. So I would say Wegmans and Harris Teeter are on the same line. Then you got like Food Line, and then you got the Kroger's and I don't know if Bilo's still around, but we used to have Bilo's. We don't really have any Publix around here. Those are more, there are some Publix south of us, but in the Carolinas, Harris Teeter. And now
I've never been to that one.
Harris Teeter's great. I do like the experience at Harris Teeter. And most of them have a Starbucks inside of them. So it's combining both.
See, Wegmans has its own like little coffee area, and their peppermint drinks in the winter they're right up there with Starbucks.
It truly is amazing. And the funny part is I actually randomly, well, I guess it wasn't random, it was my job, but and you might not know this, but there was a time where I used to sell meat when I lived in Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And one of my districts was up in the Albany, Cohoes area of New York, and Wegmans was one of my distributors. So I would go sell my meat to Wegmans.
That's so neat. I didn't know that.
Still in the store. It's called Carando. You can go pick it up.
I think it's the
Italian sausage. I specialize in Italian sausage and spiral ham, believe it or not.
So you definitely know your different types.
Oh, I know my cuts. The funny part is that in the meat business, you don't call them meetings. For pun intended, is why you don't call them meetings. You don't have meetings, you have cuttings. And what you do is you take your meat to the cutting and you slice it in front of the buyer so that they can look at all different things about the meat. Its color, the way it folds, the feel of it, touch of it, smell of it. It is quite, I have so many stories from that. It was such a short time in my life. It was about 8 months, but the stories I could tell for days.
What's your favorite story from it?
Oh man. Probably my first day on the job, and I'll leave out the client just in case. I wouldn't want to be sought after. But if you can imagine for a moment, the grocery business is very old school. So, I mean, it's people that have been in these positions for 40, 50 years at a time. And this was a client that was really big up in New England. They actually had some press around this time. There were brothers that owned the grocery this chain. That probably says a lot. But my first day, I'm shadowing my boss. And the other thing about the grocery business that is so funny is it's truly stuck in a time of, like, I don't know if you'd call it the 60s or the 70s, but our meetings or cuttings would start at 5 a.m. And you walk into this office area, and it's truly out of a movie. People are smoking. There's like, you can just see like blinds everywhere. It's like a world that has not left itself. So we go into this chain's distribution office. It's 5 a.m. I'm with my boss, and we walk in, and the buyer closes the door behind us, and he looks straight at my boss, who in his own is a 60-year-old plus man, Italian. And the guy looks at him and says, "Do you want me to pull down my pants now or later? Because you're effing me in the ass over these prices." And that was day one on the job. And I was like, this is going to be fantastic. This is just great. Meanwhile, this guy was in his 70s at least, with slicked back black hair that he dyes on the regular. And I was like, cool. Well, here we go. Here's the meat business. So that was and honestly, it was kind of harmless fun, but that's the way it was. Everything in the meat industry is we're all selling the same product, right? Like, it might be a different line, it might be a different flavor or brand, or, antibiotics were really big around the time that I was in meat sales. But at the end of the day, it comes down to
my favorite racing story.
If you could tell one racing story, what would it be?
Like on the track or off the track? My favorite racing story is probably the day that Bo won the championship, because it was like a dream come true. You couldn't have wrote it any better. We woke up that morning thinking like, oh, we have a shot. And, like, if Bo went a couple of rounds, we were like, we could finish top 3. We could finish, who knows? And you always hope that, you're going to be standing on the podium at the end of the day. But especially, we raced with KB. So Greg was in the hunt too. And, Greg was leading. We just never really thought like, yeah, it's going to happen. And Bo probably did. Bo will tell you he thought that, because Bo always thinks he's going to win. Like, it doesn't matter if he's like 100 on the tree and there's no chance. By the finish line, he thinks he's still going to win. But he's just optimistic like that. And we were down to the semis, and there was no one down in front of us. And we were just all kind of standing there. I think he ran Greg that round. So we knew, like, if he beat Greg and he won in the final, like, we could walk away as the champions. And I remember them playing his video on the screen about how he got sober and how good life is and stuff. And it was a good feeling. It was a nerve-wracking feeling inside. But I was kind of sick to my stomach at that point, because I was like, wow, this could happen. And then he went out and beat Greg. And, even in the trailer and everything, after that, Tanner was driving awesome. We had Tanner in the finals. And it was a long shot for us even to win that round, because Bo struggles to hit the tree. Tanner doesn't. Tanner's going to nail the tree every time. And, but still Bo's like super optimistic. He's like, we're going to win. We're going to do this. And Ken Black even told him right before we went out there, he said, if you win this championship, do I get to sit at the table, up front? And Bo was like, of course. So when just going up there, looking back now, it's almost like it was meant to be. But at the time that it all happened, it was nerve-wracking. And I remember getting ready for the banquet the next day and just thinking, like, it will never get any better than this. Like, we go to the banquet as champions, and that was very neat. It all of KB was involved, like all of us little guys, because we still consider ourselves, we're just a long shot. And that day it all came true. So that's probably my favorite story in all of my drag racing, at least.
When it comes to stories. So what do you have for your craziest racing story?
I mean, my craziest racing story is probably getting hired at Coletta's. Like, they're racing in Vegas, And at that time, I was part-time driving for Bob Vandergriff, and I was here in Indy. And you know they're qualifying Friday, and I'm at Buffalo Wild Wings with my parents, watching March Madness, eating chicken wings and drinking beer. You know, then get a call that night from Connie Coletta saying, "Hey, I'm looking to make a driver change. Do you think that you could fly out here and be here in the morning?" I'm like, "Are you serious?" So from that time I got that call, and packing my bag and booking a ticket, I got probably an hour and a half sleep, and next thing you know, I'm in Las Vegas qualifying his car on Saturday, and you know, went around on Sunday, then got a full-time job after that. So that's probably my craziest story. But like you said, going to Brainerd to the zoo, you definitely see some things out there, but you can't talk about them either. So it's like what happens in the
Very cool. Very cool. So listen, what we kind of we'll wrap this up with one simple question from us. You might not think it's as simple of a question as we do, but if you of all the drag racing that you've done, you know, in your short career, which has been a lot of drag racing, if you had only one story you could tell about your drag racing career so far, what would that story be?
If I could tell a story, oh boy, I don't know. I think the first one that comes to mind, and it's not that long of a story. So I was running the Seal Master car for Connie, and there was a line for people. I was signing some of those hand posters and whatnot, and I can see this kid. He's anxious. He's waiting in line, and next thing I know, he comes up and he looks at me and goes, "Oh, that's not Jaggy." And I just thought, "Oh, great." So I took him down to Uncle Jag's pit, let him take the lead group, and made this kid's weekend. But I thought, man, that's awesome. That's not Jaggy. That just stuck with me all weekend. It was cool because Jaggy was my hero when I was that age. So I understood.
Right.
I knew exactly how he felt.
That is hilarious. That's a great story. Man.
If you got our room and asked for a story, it'd be a complete 2-episode deal. It'd be a long show, trust me. You would need all day. Like
great one. Well, it's so funny because we've had your Uncle Jag on here a couple of times, and it's great when he gets into telling a story. I love it. I do. I love everything about it. And then we had him and Woody on together one time, and the two of them, boy, they get telling stories. It's so awesome. It was.
Those are great.
It was classic. It was absolutely classic. So, well, we really appreciate you taking time, coming on, being quarantined with the Carusos for a little bit. You know, try and pass this crazy time that we're having right now. And
I just want to go racing.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a blast. It's a great show.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. You know, we're just trying to do our little part in this big world.
Hey, we appreciate it. I love the photo in the background too. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I knocked it off the wall a couple shows ago.
It's a little crooked.
I didn't mean to.
Hey,
so
I got to get some art like that for my house.
So I'm gonna tell you.
No, not with the story again.
It's just a quick story.
18 times.
Well, he may not have heard it.
Over it.
So there's only one person.
I'm all ears.
There's only one person in this photo that is the same person, but played two different people in two different movies. Can you spot that person?
Well, it can't be Al Pacino, right?
It is.
Scarface?
Yep, Scarface, and he was in The Godfather.
Oh, I thought these two were
Michael
the same.
Corleone.
I thought they were the same.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was Michael Corleone.